Welcome to my talk on healing long COVID. The reason I really want to give this talk is because a lot of people are suffering from long COVID, and I see a lot of students and give a lot of health consultations, and I see a lot of people suffering from it. And so I really want to extend, what I've learned out to more people. I'm principal of the International Macrobiotic School. I've been running self-help courses on health and also longer training courses for nearly 40 years. And I've also been giving health consultations for most of that time as well. So long COVID, I think most people are kind of learning what that is. It's after having COVID, and for some people also get symptoms after having the vaccination. But generally, when people are talking about long COVID, they mean after having COVID. What one expects is from a low point, however low that is, varying levels of low, one's going to gradually experience an increase back to normal health, and the symptoms gradually disappearing. But for some people that doesn't happen, and so long COVID is often defined as people who are still suffering from symptoms for 3 months or longer. Some people suffer for 6 months, a year, even 2 years. Some people are still suffering from COVID, having caught it from quite some time ago. There are different estimates as the number of people who have long COVID. The Office of National Statistics recently said that they think that 1.3 million people in the UK are suffering from long COVID. You may know of people suffering from long COVID. You may be suffering from long COVID yourself. The fatigue and a variety of other symptoms. So you may be familiar with long COVID yourself already. So Western medicine is obviously becoming very interested in long COVID, is wondering why it's happening. In my experience, Oriental medicine and the macrobiotic version of Oriental medicine, which I've been using for a long time, really throws a lot of light on it. And at the moment, some of the main questions that are being asked in society are, why me? Why do some people get long COVID and other people don't? So that's a bit of a mystery to Western medicine, but I want to explain why that is. Another question is, why these symptoms? People get a wide variety of different symptoms. Some people are getting more fatigue problems, brain fog, muscle weakness, etc. You could say low energy problems. Other people are getting more lung, sinus, chesty problems. Other people are getting more heart, circulatory problems, and so on. To Western medicine, at the moment, it's a bit of a mystery as to why that's happening. So what I want to explain is why different people develop different symptoms. Within this, I want to explain a little bit more about why Western medicine, which is excellent in some respects at looking at our health, is poor in other aspects, and hasn't got any kind of clear help for people with long COVID. So I want to kind of explain what the kind of difference is in these two approaches so you can understand that. And then, maybe most importantly, what can I do to help myself? If you have long COVID, or if you know of anybody with long COVID, what can we do ourselves to help get rid of the symptoms as quickly as possible? And this is really what the International Macrobiotic School is about. It's about teaching people how they can help themselves with their health in general, how to optimize their health, how to enjoy better health, longer life, good health, how to heal various health problems themselves. Our health is primarily in our hands. If things become serious, it's great to get help from others, but really it's our daily food, our daily way of life, exercise, attitudes, emotions, etc., which take us down the path towards health. or take us down the path towards illness and so on. Okay, so let's get into these questions. First question, why me? From a Western scientific point of view, it's often a mystery why some people develop long COVID and some people don't. Also, it's the kind of same question as to why some people develop serious symptoms from when they catch COVID and other people develop mild symptoms. Obviously, it depends on the variant, but within a variant, some people develop more serious symptoms, others milder symptoms. And then with long COVID, some people develop, why do some people have long COVID? Why do other people recover? This really all depends on the strength of people's health. From a Western scientific point of view, the kind of definition of health is that you don't have any particular health problems, identifiable illnesses, diseases, and you seem to be somewhat fit. However, so you hear statements like, well, why did this young person who seemed to be fit and didn't have any illnesses develop serious COVID symptoms, or why have they developed long COVID? This is such a crude, such a crude kind of almost, you could say really truthfully, ignorant attitude to health. Oriental medicine, on the other hand, whereas Western medicine has really studied disease in fine detail, Oriental medicine has looked at why we become ill, but has also, it really has studied health. So I may not have any symptoms or illnesses, but I may be showing signs of weakness in a particular organ or system in the body. So what Oriental medicine is good at is saying, well, what are the warning signs that already my health is becoming diminished? People don't, if people have a heart attack or a stroke, or they suddenly discover they've got arthritis or diabetes, those kind of things haven't happened suddenly overnight. They've been building up over months, very often years and even decades. So what Oriental medicine has developed are ways of assessing our health, so we can understand why some people may, people whose health is weaker are likely to get more serious long COVID symptoms, which go on longer. People whose health is stronger, if people's health is stronger, it also means their immune system is stronger, more able to overcome the virus from COVID. Then they're going to recover more quickly from long COVID and not get the long COVID symptoms. So really, as in modern Western society, we have been pretty poor at developing health. Our approach to health, our health systems, have been really focused on treating disease. They haven't focused on creating health. And this is where Oriental medicine and lots of other approaches, fantastic to see lots of people doing yoga, becoming much more conscious about their food, wanting to eat a more plant-based diet, wanting to eat more real foods, whole foods, less processed foods, wanting to exercise, look at their emotions, attitudes, more balanced lifestyle, etc., is really going to help. Just taking a slight tack, this is how we develop resilience. Individually and as a nation and as a globe. At the moment, in the modern Western culture, because levels of health are poor, we're not resilient. We don't have much resilience when a pandemic like COVID comes along. If our collective health was much stronger, then a lot less people would have died from COVID, when people got it, they would have less serious symptoms. And this is being realized scientifically now as well. But it's not out there because it's not, it doesn't fit with the status quo. So, second question, why do some people develop certain symptoms, other people develop different symptoms? This is because before getting COVID, people had weakness in different aspects, in different areas of their health. So one of probably the most common area, that the most common kind of set of symptoms are really to do with our energy reserves. So people feel fatigue, tiredness, muscle weakness, and along with that often goes some joint muscle aching, and also brain fog. Brain fog, one of the main reasons for brain fog is when we're just exhausted and have very little energy. So we don't have enough energy for our physical body to work, but the brain also takes a lot of energy to work. Not only calorific, physical energy, but also Oriental medicine is looking at the health also in terms of chi or ki flow, life energy flow. And when that becomes low, the body doesn't function so well, and also the brain doesn't function so well, because the brain, we use our brains a lot, needs a lot of calorific energy and a lot of ki. So who's going to get these kind of symptoms? People whose energy reserves are already low. Maybe they have been under long-term stress. Maybe they've had to overwork for long periods of time for whatever reasons. Maybe they've been facing a lot of difficulties and challenges in their life, which has really taken a lot of energy. Maybe they're lacking sleep from maybe recently having children, or for other reasons lacking sleep. Or maybe using stimulants, whether that's recreational drugs, which give a quick high or have a quick effect, but long-term really deplete the body deeply, or people who are using stimulants on a regular basis, so coffee, black tea, sugar, etc., and also alcohol. These foods all in quantity really weaken our energy reserves. So coffee may seem kind of innocuous. It gives you a little bit of a lift, it kind of gives you energy, but where's that energy coming from? Actually, it's coming out of the deep reserves in your body primarily, bringing it into your body so you feel more energy. But if you have, if people have a strong coffee habit, tea, a black tea habit, etc., actually that is depleting the inner energy reserves. And that's making you more susceptible to long COVID symptoms of fatigue and tiredness and muscle ache. When the muscles don't have enough ki in, they ache because they don't have enough energy to function properly. So when the and by the way, in Oriental medicine, they consider that our fundamental energy reserves are in the kind of kidneys and adrenal glands. So in Oriental medicine, the organs are seen not only as having physical functions, but also having energetic functions and also emotional, mental, and sometimes spiritual functions as well. So when the kidney energy is low, our internal energy reserves are low, we get a virus such as COVID, then we may well get long-term fatigue. So there's actually a name for this that has been used for about the last 35 years. The illness, which we now call generally called chronic fatigue syndrome, was also called ME, was also called in the past post-viral fatigue syndrome, because some people that caught viruses, whether it's a cold virus, a flu virus, or another virus, just seem to never recover because their body didn't have the strength to throw it off. So really, these symptoms which people are getting from fatigue from long COVID is an example of post-viral fatigue syndrome. The body doesn't have enough energy and health and strength to throw off the virus and recover. So if you're getting these kind of symptoms, I'm just going to say very briefly, I'm going to talk a little bit at the end. I'm running an in-depth course starting on September the 22nd to really look deeply into the causes and the healing of long COVID, and kind of showing what I've learned over the last this year and months. I've seen quite a lot of people with long COVID. So to strengthen our inner reserves of energy, rest, more sleep. If you imagine, we have like a bucket of energy and it becomes empty. We've got to refill it. And if we keep emptying it by being overly busy and giving out and working hard and not sleeping, then we're never going to recover from that fatigue. And this is what happens with people with chronic fatigue sometimes if people won't stop and rest. So we really have to stop, rest more, nap more. If we're not sleeping at night, get sleep at other times, but do our best to get a good amount of sleep at night. Cut down on commitments, maybe cut down on work, maybe have a temporary break from work or reduce workload so that they're putting less energy out. Then we need to get more energy in. So we want to stop the stimulants: coffee, black tea, sugar, alcohol. A lot of people with this fatigue find they have a coffee or a few coffees or some alcohol, and then instantly their energy drops. It's kind of their energy sapping. So you need to stop those stimulants and eat whole foods, whole foods as opposed to processed foods, whole foods, whole grains, whole vegetables, whole beans, whole seeds, whole nuts, whole fruits, whole sea vegetables, etc. contain a lot more nutrients and also more life energy. So we want to eat the foods with the most life energy. So eating whole foods for breakfast might be a whole grain porridge or a rolled oat porridge. It might be rice or quinoa or other grains, which we eat at other times of day. Soups. Minerals really help strengthen our internal energy, and one of the main ways we have minerals is in broth soups. So in the Orient, it's a miso soup or a shoyu broth or a tamari broth, which are really excellent at boosting internal energy reserves and the kidney energy. But it could also be any kind of salty broth soup. And very good to have a breakfast to get our energy levels up first thing in the morning. Sea vegetables contain a lot of minerals, so traditionally in the Orient they put some sea vegetables, some kelp or kame or dulse or something like that in the soup as well. Then it becomes even more strengthening. Also, if one eats animal foods, particularly fish and shellfish, also boost that internal energy, if not overdone. There are also particular kind of exercises, stretches, meditations, medicinal drinks, etc., which there's not time to go into right now, which can also help boost these inner energy reserves. So this is what I've seen, a number of people do who've suffered from, long-term fatigue as part of long COVID, make some changes in their lifestyle and in their diet, and really recover much more quickly. Then other people get more lung-related symptoms in long COVID. They may get breathless. That's like they can't take a deep enough breath. And so it feels like they're never getting enough air in. They may develop a cough. They're creating mucus all the time, so they have a persistent cough. They may feel tightness in their chest. May also lose their sense of smell, which is the kind of smell receptors in the nose and the sinuses are not functioning well. So these more lung-related symptoms, why do some people get these? Because before developing COVID, already there was a weakness in their lungs. Some common signs of weakness in the lungs from an Oriental medicine point of view are the lungs, in Oriental medicine and in Western medicine are seen as our first line of defense against airborne viruses, bacteria, fungi, etc., wanting to get in the body. When lovely and moist and rich and warm, nice place to live for microorganisms. So they all want to get in. Lots of them want to get in. And it's our lungs which are having to keep them out, make a barrier. So some signs that your barrier may be weak are that you easily pick up colds, flu, maybe COVID. Some people have had it 2, 3, even 4 times. If you pick up infections, airborne infections easily, that's showing you your lungs are weak. Also, if you have lung problems such as asthma, also if you have allergies to airborne substances, that might be hay fever, might be allergies to cats, cat hairs, dust mites, etc., etc. That's all showing that there's an imbalance, there's a weakness in the lungs. Also, people that don't do much deep breathing, and that means not doing much vigorous exercise. Vigorous exercise, where we're breathing deeply, brings a lot of ki and energy, and exercises the lungs, helps strengthen the lungs. So people that aren't getting aerobic exercise, that has a weakening effect on the lungs. Also, people eating a lot of processed foods, that's especially sugary foods, really weaken the lung function. Also, people eating a lot of mucus-forming foods, dairy foods, fatty, oily foods, especially combinations of fatty, oily foods, sugary foods, and processed flour. And we're very fond of that combination because it's very kind of stimulating and yummy. So, things like chocolate and cakes and biscuits. We can make great healthy desserts and snacks. We do that all the time in macrobiotics, in macrobiotic cooking, and we run online residential courses here at the school in South Devon, so you can learn how to make yourself great desserts. You don't have to deprive yourself of yummy things, but not using refined sugar, not using a lot of refined flour, and not using dairy foods. These create mucus in the lungs, clogs up the lungs, coats the inner surface of the lungs and sinuses, etc., and weakens that whole defense system. So if people have these kind of symptoms, then already the lungs are weak. They may suffer from more lung-related long COVID symptoms. How to help the lungs? Just a few things briefly. I talked about processed foods, especially sugary foods, being particularly bad for the lungs, and mucus-forming foods. So again, eating whole foods, whole grains, whole beans, whole vegetables, whole seeds, etc. Are very unmucus-forming. So that allows the lungs to be clear and free, and to get on with their to functioning properly. Also, whole foods, like whole grains, and especially root vegetables, which have a lot of structure and fiber, really strengthen the lungs. I can't quite go into all the kind of Oriental theory that kind of explains why that is, but these kind of whole foods, which have structure, really strengthen the lungs. Some regular exercise, and deep breathing, not only with the lungs but also with the abdomen. When we're abdominally breathing, if you've heard my other videos, I'm very keen on everybody learning to breathe abdominally as well as with their chests. When we breathe with our abdomen, then our lungs are expanding much more fully. We're getting more ki, more air in the body. Very good for the health. Lots of things that we can do to help strengthen our lungs. Also particular exercises, particular stretches, particular acupressure points we can use to strengthen the lungs, to help recover from these long COVID symptoms related to the lungs. Other people get long COVID symptoms more related to their heart and their circulation. They may get heart palpitations. They may get feelings of hot and cold, tightness in the chest, more feelings of anxiety or panic in the chest, feeling heavy, feeling depressed in a downhearted kind of way, heavy-hearted, joyless kind of way. This is some things which can happen to people. So, what I'm going to say next. Who develops these more heart and circulation related symptoms? People whose heart and circulation already had a weakness or a big imbalance, which may be shown by maybe already having signs of poor circulation, maybe having cold hands and feet, cold nose, cold ears, finding it difficult to regulate their temperature, accepting menopause when that frequently happens, outside menopause, finding it difficult to regulate temperature, first too hot, then too cold, and backwards and forwards. Maybe already having some heart palpitations. Also, again, those stimulants, especially alcohol, but also a lot of coffee, black tea, has a weakening effect on the heart. And that's well known in Western science that excess of alcohol and some other things can expand the heart so that it becomes weaker. We don't want that. We want a strong heart. So again, lots of things we can do to strengthen our heart and circulation. For number one, eating a balanced plant-based diet, whole grains, whole beans, etc., etc. Good amount of minerals from sea vegetables, seeds, and so on. Maybe, if the heart is really quite weak, then maybe no alcohol, no stimulants for a while that condition heals. Long term, small amounts of alcohol is fine for the health. Something else, moderate amount of exercise, which doesn't have to be really strong, but a moderate exercise brings energy into the heart, strengthens the heart. Also, foods with a bitter taste. Different tastes strengthen foods with different tastes strengthen different organs, and it's the bitter taste that strengthens the heart. And where do we get the bitter taste from? You might say chocolate, not so great. Coffee, also not so great. Actually, they're both bitter, and possibly that's one reason why they both affect the heart detrimentally so much. So better to drink things like dandelion coffee, chicory, kind of coffee substitute, other grain coffees, Yano, barley cup, etc. They have a somewhat bitter taste. Greens, maybe this is one of the reasons why small kids sometimes don't like their greens, because actually they have a bitter taste, but actually as we get older, that bitter taste from eating dark leafy greens on a regular basis is really good. So, walnuts, sesame seeds, especially roasted sesame seeds, and some other foods. We need to be eating these bitter foods on a regular basis to help strengthen the heart. So those are the kind of three main areas that people get symptoms in. Of course, some people may have more than one of those, because if someone has a weakness, say in their energy reserves and in their lungs, then they may well get symptoms in both those places, and then obviously then the suffering is going to be greater. If they also had some weakness in the heart and they're getting symptoms there as well, then both the COVID infection, and also long COVID is likely to affect a person more severely. I'll just mention as well, particularly with the Omicron, quite a few people seem to get a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders, and headaches, sometimes really severe headaches at the beginning of COVID, and also sometimes in long COVID as well. These headaches are coming because of a lot of tension. You generally find there's a lot of tension in the neck and in the shoulders, and maybe in here. And in Oriental medicine, this tension is coming up the gallbladder, liver and gallbladder meridians. So it's because of a lot of tension in this area of the body, the liver and gallbladder. Why do we hold a lot of tension in our liver and gallbladder? I think most of us hold a bit of tension. Practically all of us hold some tension, but some of us hold more than others. It can be eating a lot of what in macrobiotics we would call more yang foods, very condensed, heavy foods such as eggs, hard cheeses, meat, chicken. These kind of very solid, dense foods do actually create more tension in the body. I've also seen so many people with headaches and migraines over the decades, and don't understand why they have them. There's not an explanation in Western medicine, and by relaxing the liver and gallbladder in the ways I'm just describing now, I've helped a lot of people get rid of them. So those kind of heavy foods create a lot of tension in the body, including in the liver and gallbladder. What the liver likes is a lot of light foods. It likes a lot of vegetables, a bit of raw foods. It likes sour pickles, some fermented food, and yes, a little beer or fermented alcohol can be helpful for the liver. Light grains, quinoa, long grain brown rice, just likes lightness. So eating more of those foods, eliminating. I remember one client I had. He was doing weightlifter, and he was eating, I think it was 12 eggs a day. Been doing that for a number of years. He had all kinds of health problems because of eating that number of eggs, including getting severe headaches. And when he stopped the eggs and substituted a lot of plant protein, they gradually went away. So some dietary change. Also in Oriental medicine, our liver is creating a lot of energy, and which then goes into the body, and which we express through our physical movement. So physical movement is important to move this, to move tension out of the body. A lot of people find that if they walk, jog, move, swim, that it helps reduce headaches. Also, it contributes to our emotional expression. So if we are holding a lot of emotions inside, if we're holding a lot of anger, frustration, sadness, other emotions inside, then obviously that makes us tense because we're holding it inside. What those emotions need to do is come out, and then that tension releases in the body. What else? What else helps the liver? Fun and humour and having a laugh all helps liver energy. It creates lightness and helps the liver energy move. Okay, so those are kind of four areas that common areas that people are getting symptoms, and so I've explained briefly the reason why people are developing those symptoms and some of the changes in food, lifestyle, and attitude, etc. That's going to help. If you'd like to know more, particularly if you're suffering from long COVID, I am starting a course on September the 22nd, an online course, 5 Thursday evenings, where I'm going to really go into this in much more depth. And there will be a limit on the number of people in the course, so I can also give some personal advice. So it's going to be a very practical course, really understanding why people getting, including participants, have certain symptoms, and what you can do about it. And hopefully over those 5 weeks, some people will feel some really beneficial shifts. So in the description of underneath this video, there's a link to our website, and if you click on there, that will take you to information on that in-depth healing long COVID course. If you know of people who are suffering, please tell them about it. And please tell them about the International Macrobiotic School, because we're helping a lot of people with long COVID. We also run other courses, some shorter self-help courses, both here at the school, 2-day plant-based cooking courses, 5-day looking after your health, a great package to really turn your health around. Also online cooking classes starting on September 12th, check on our website. And we also offer a year-long course which leads on to training courses for people that want to learn to heal others, use food, lifestyle, emotional healing, etc. Holistic package in helping others. So again, check out the website. If you wanted a personal consultation with me, I do those in person and also online. Please get in touch with the school, and I'd be very happy to have a short chat about it if you want to know more, or to find a time to give you a personalised health consultation. Okay, I hope that's been of interest. Please do tell other people, because there's a lot of people suffering, and there is help. There is help. There are things that people can do right now to be helping their health. And really, this information needs to be out there much more widely. So please do spread the word. Okay, thank you very much. I wish you good health and lasting happiness. Bye-bye.